Okay, we are live. We have just a couple more minutes, 4 minutes to be exact, until we dig into the topic for today. So I'm going to turn my camera off. Feel free to get yourself some water. Feel free to drop where you are from and your name in the chat because today we're going to talk all about inner work. I'm really excited and I'll see you all in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Hello, 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 everyone. It is 12 o'clock on the dot, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And what do I want to start off with? Well, first, I want to start off with that I was actually looking at a talk um, after a performance. I enjoy the arts, I enjoy performances. And while the young lady was speaking, what she brought up to her boss and to the other people around her was this notion. And what she said was, I give you everything because I feel so supported. And it made me really think, right, about the way that we support one another, but also the way that we support ourselves. And she was really speaking about wanting to give everything, right? Wanting to show up 150% because of the way that she was supported. And so it reminded me that when we support each other, we give each other the space to expand. We give each other the space to grow in our capacity to be able to show up. But it's so important for us not to only do that for each other, but also to do that for ourselves. And so, what does it look like to continue time and time again, day in and day out, to support yourself, right? To support your health, to support your mind, to support your body, to support your soul, so that these different parts of us can continue to show up, so that these different parts of us can continue to expand, so that these different parts of us can have more capacity, more resiliency. And so the way that I want us to start off today is to support ourselves right now in this moment with a 1 minute meditation. For all of you who know me, you know I'm really big on 1 minute meditations, and the power of recentering yourself, the power of refocusing, the power of just giving yourself time to just breathe and to take a moment and to take a pause before you move on to the next thing, before you move on to the call, before you move on to picking up your kids, whatever that may look like for you, right? Supporting yourself and giving yourself that moment of just, and what can that do for you? And before we get into that, I was like, hold up, I didn't even introduce myself. For those who don't know me, I am Imani Adia, the founder of Soul 360, where we empower you with the tools you need to live a life your soul desires most. It's all about elevating your well-being. It's all about transforming your mindset. It's all about making sure that you have greater capacity to show up as the best version of yourself day in and day out. So without, I don't want to say wasting. I'm in a space where I no longer waste my time. So without um, waiting any longer, right? Or without us prolonging any longer, we're going to go ahead and get into the 1 minute meditation. And so, what you can do is just close your eyes and just start to center yourself. And I'm going to play a little music in the background for us. And all you're going to do is just breathe in and breathe out. And it feels so much better when you close your eyes. So if you're in a space where you feel comfortable enough to close your eyes, I definitely encourage you to. So just go ahead and close your eyes and breathe in and breathe out. And as you are breathing in, I just want you to breathe in what you want to bring into your life right now. So bring in more joy, more peace, more calmness. Just allow that to come into you. And as you breathe out, just focus on releasing what isn't serving you anymore, whatever that may be. And just allow yourself to breathe in. Breathe in what you need, what you want. Breathe out what is no longer serving you. And just continue to breathe in and breathe out. And at any moment, if there's a thought that comes into your mind, just say, I'll get back to it later. And what we're going to do is one final deep breath in and one final deep breath out. You ready? Breathe in. Mm. Breathe out. Beautiful. And that's a 1 minute meditation. We did a little bit more than 1 minute, but that is the gist of it. And so if you are not somebody who practices 1 minute meditation, you are now because you just did it. And like I said, this is something that you can literally give to yourself. This is a way for you to support yourself while you are moving throughout the day. So I know that you can do this every hour. That's where I like to incorporate it, or maybe even in between tasks. I know sometimes tasks can take 20 minutes, and you're like, before I jump into anything else, I just need a moment to breathe. And so that's a way for you, like I said, just to continue to support yourself. And so now, switching over into what we are talking about today. So, what we're talking about today is inner work. For those who don't know, I have just been on this continuous journey of, in so many words, of how do I support myself and how do I become the best version of myself. And while on my journey, specifically at the beginning of my journey, what I really found is that real change happens when you go within. And so a lot of people, if they are struggling with their job or they're struggling with their family or they're struggling in their relationship, it is so easy, right, to point the finger at somebody else. When really what you need to do is point the finger at yourself. You can only control what you can control, and the person that you can control is yourself. And so when you take that finger and you point it back at yourself, it really gives you a moment to reflect and say, well, if I was to show up better in this capacity, if I was able to support myself, if I did what I needed to do for myself, then how would that change the relationships that I have? How would that even change the job that I'm currently in? Maybe it's time for you to, get that exit plan together. Whether that's you saying this relationship is no longer serving me, or this is how I can show up differently so that I can support not only myself in this relationship, but also the other person on the other end, right? Whether that's family, platonic, any of the above. It's just one of those things where you really start looking within. And so while I was looking within, it dawned on me, right? I got this download. I'm like, what you're doing is inner work. You're really focusing on transformation happening within. So the outside, right? So that external can change around you. And all of a sudden, the pieces started coming together. And I was like, oh, this is what Soul 360 is. This is what my life is. It is not a destination, it is a journey because I am forever evolving. I'm forever changing. And so with doing that, this is where this whole idea, this whole formula around how do I support myself and really getting into the nitty gritty of it all being release, define, and honor. And so also when I say define, you may also hear me say create. Those words I do use interchangeably, but we're really going to get into it with what does it mean to release. This release phase is so important because 9 times out of 10, what people focus on is how can I add to my life? It's almost like when you're going on a trip and you're packing your suitcase and you get there at the airport and your bag gets weighed and they're like, excuse me, this bag is overweight. And you're like, oh, I didn't even pack that much. And next thing you know, you open up the bag and you still have a winter coat in the bag, right? You're like, I have this here because just in case I need a jacket. When you're going to a sunny place, you're about to go lounge on the beach, you don't need a jacket. Leave the jacket at home. You do not need it. Let go of the jacket. And so many times what happens is that we just bring a lot of baggage into the spaces that we are in. We bring a lot of extra baggage, a lot of emotional baggage. And so that's where this whole notion of releasing really comes from. It's making sure that you release what is no longer serving you. You release what you no longer need. And in this release phase that happened in my life and continues to happen because I'm a human, things come up and I need to release it. And so what happens during this release phase is that you really allow yourself to, number one, let go of the heavy emotions, right? Heavy emotions, or what some people may think are the negative emotions like anger or sadness, they're there for a reason. We're human, we experience them. If anything, what they do is that they tell us, like, hey, it's a signal. We need to focus on this. We need to focus on what we're feeling right now in this moment. Why are you starting to feel angry because someone said one particular word to you? Why are you starting to feel angry because you're not getting your way? Why does this make you feel sad? And so when you're looking at those emotions, the way that they become heavy and the way that they become, in some sense, toxic is when we don't release them. One of my favorite ways to explain this is genuinely, oh, and I have a book. Y'all can see what I'm reading. Oh, this isn't what I'm reading. This is a journal. But it's one of those things where if I had a book, a journal, and this is not heavy at all. Like, I can throw this, I can hold it, not a problem. When does the problem come in? The problem comes in when I am holding it and all of a sudden I've held it in my hand out just like this for an hour, for 2 hours, for days. What would happen? I would literally start to get weak and it would start to become heavy. This little journal that weighs nothing, right, would all of a sudden become really heavy because I have yet to put it down. And that's what those emotions are like. We just continue to carry them. And even though they're not as heavy, and it's really one of those things where your body is just signaling, hey, let's do a check in. Let's talk about this. Let's reflect on this. Let's release this. We just carry it for hours and days and years and decades, where it literally just starts to weigh us down, and it weighs on our spirit, and it weighs on the way that we are able to show up for others and we're able to show up for ourselves. And so that's one of the things that you do right in the release phase. Another thing that you do within the release phase is that you actually take time to resolve that inner conflict within you. You know, when you are battling within yourself and part of you wants to do this and then part of you wants to do that, and you're just like staying up at night because you don't know what it is that you want to do. You feel like you're being pulled in two totally different directions, and it's really keeping you up at night. And in that release phase, it's really about you becoming congruent and you being aligned and letting go of this idea of it having to be either or, and finding out where is the space where it's and. Where is the space where they come together and they support each other, these different ideas? Where is the space where you can actually move forward knowing that you carry both? One of my one thing as I think about this, specifically in when working with someone around this, um, she stated that she felt like she could maybe only show up for herself and then only show up for her family, right? It's part of her that is really like, I have to focus on myself. I have to do things for myself. And then there's another part of her that wants to show up for humanity. And the question is, what happens when both of them shows up? What happens if both things can be true? So many times we ourselves are the ones that put ourselves in a box. We are the ones who say it has to be either or, it has to be black or white. And the truth is, it can be both. And you have enough capacity to allow yourself to be both. And so this is a reminder for anybody out there that you do not have to choose. We are so multidimensional, and there is literally no capacity. There is no lid on the amount of things that you can do, right? You literally can take that ceiling and make it your floor. And I'm here to encourage you to do that. I want you to do that. We need more people to do that because you don't have to be one dimensional. You're not. And so step into that multidimensional and see what it looks like for you. Step into that creative space. Step into it all, because you never know how the gifts that you have been given will impact the world. And so when you decide that you aren't going to step into your gifts, or you're not going to show up fully as yourself with all these different parts of who are essentially just one person, the world is left without. Right? Even you yourself, you will feel like, something is missing. So show up fully in all that you are. And then this other part of the release phase is really letting go of those limiting beliefs that have never served you, and really getting down to the nitty gritty of, where did these beliefs come from? And what purpose do they serve today? And when you start asking yourself the bigger questions, you then realize they aren't serving a purpose, or the purpose that they are serving isn't one that uplifts you, it just keeps you down. And so maybe another day I'll get into my limiting belief formula and how to break that down. But all those three things are what you really need to think about when you're in your release phase. And it is a circle. It's a cycle that happens when you're in these different phases. Honestly, for me, I release every night. Things happen throughout the day, at least once a week, and you got to let that stuff go, because if you don't, something that weighs nothing, just it doesn't weigh anything, all of a sudden becomes so heavy that you can't even pick your back up, because it is literally weighing you down. Literally weighing you down. So that is the release phase. And then you move on to the define phase, the create phase. This is literally one of my favorite phases, because let me tell you, when you get out of that release phase, as I said, this is one of my favorite phases. I really was like, but what about release? I love release too, because to come out on the other side so much lighter is truly a gift that continues to give, not only to yourself, but to other people. And so as we move into the create and define phase, this is so important, because once you release, it's like you're a whole new, brand new person. And it is one of the most beautiful things ever, because you really come to this new space with so much clarity, with so much alignment, with so much joy and excitement about what's next, because you are able to show up fully as yourself, and you're able to show up, like I said, lighter. And so during this create and define phase, it's really about you blowing off the lid and just getting into any and everything, and looking at, what is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to accomplish in this life? What are the outcomes that I'm looking for? And so part of it is like the day-to-day, even maybe the monetary. But then on that other side, it's like, what impact do I want to make? And in making that impact, what can I create to help support that impact that I want to make? Who am I needing to become? Who do I need to define myself as for me to make that impact? What is it that I need to do so that I leave this world knowing that I operated in purpose, and I operated from a place where I was serving, and I was operating from a place with such fulfillment, right? I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you've made X amount of money. We all crave to be fulfilled in the life that we are living. And so when you crave for that fulfillment, that means that you are being called to be more. And so it's really about focusing on, who is it that you need to become, so that you can do and have the things that you want, so that you can accomplish what you have set out to do, so that you can serve the people that you are meant to serve. And so that's really what that create and defining phase is. And when I tell you it's about blowing off the lid, it truly is, because it's all about stepping into your limitless. and really asking yourself and connecting with yourself on a soul level of what is the legacy that we want to live. And when I speak about legacy, it is not about a million people knowing your name, right? It's about what impact you are making exactly where you are, right? In some communities, we know people's names because they literally impacted X amount of people, but those people have continued to share their story time and time and time again. And so it's about saying to yourself, this is where I am planted. How can I make sure that my roots are literally growing and expanding to where it can help other people? It can help someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I tell you blowing off the lid, I love to see people in the create and define phase because it will blow your mind. It will literally blow your mind. And then the final part of this phase, this cycle, but never really final because this is not a destination. It truly is a journey. And so you move to this next phase of really honoring yourself. And the best way to honor yourself each and every day is for you to take aligned action. The best way for you to honor yourself is to look at what it is you've released. So look at what you've done in that create and define phase, and then acting as if. In the create and define phase, you are literally going to carve out your identity of who it is that you need to show up as to accomplish the success, to accomplish the fulfillment, to feel the fulfillment. And so when you're looking at doing those things, you first have to look at who it is that you need to become and acting as if you're that person today because you are. Do people understand that? Yes. Okay. It's about acting as if you already are that person because you are. Right? It's literally one of those things. Do you become a writer? Do you become an author when you sold 5,000 copies? Or do you become a writer and an author when you start writing the book? You first have to believe that you are a writer and an author to even take that first step. Because if you don't, you're not going to get to those 5,000 books being sold. It's about stepping into the identity that you've already been called to step into and knowing that this calling goes way above somebody saying, you are now an author. We will now put you on the list as a best-selling author. You now have permission to write. Permission was already granted. Permission was already granted. And so it's about you stepping into this identity. Because like I said, what happens when the world goes without the gifts? What happens when the world goes without the way that you were supposed to serve and give? If you haven't caught on already, I truly believe all of us have a purpose. And when we do the inner work, we get one step closer to stepping into that purpose. Or for some people, purposes, right? And so it really is about making sure that you are showing up for yourself. And every day saying like, who is it that I need to show up as and what actions do I need to take as that person? We're following? Good. And so that's really what this inner work journey is. It's about you making sure that you are expanding and you are growing, because what do we say around here? There is no such thing as being stagnant. You're either growing and glowing or you're not. You are literally dwindling away. And that's not the life that you are supposed to live. And so I am going to wrap up here, but definitely just drop in the comments what you are thinking about the inner work that you are doing. What phase are you in with your inner work? Like I said, it is a journey that is continuing, right? So some days, or it's something I do every day, right? So it's about releasing, and it's about creating and defining, and it's about honoring myself. And it really is a cycle that is continuous and sometimes happening at the same time, right? And what do I mean by that? So literally at night when I am letting go of the things that over time, if I do not release, will get very heavy. It's about letting that go at night. And then literally thinking about as I'm going to sleep. This is like, now I'm giving y'all my routine. Literally as I'm going to sleep, thinking about who it is that I need to be tomorrow and what action, at least one action that I need to take. What does that look like? Visualization. And then making sure that that action that I'm taking honors myself. And it honors not only who I am today, it honors the Imani for tomorrow. Something that has really been getting me out of bed is like, you're doing this for you tomorrow. Like, definitely doing it for me today, but you're speaking about all the impact that you want to make. You're speaking about the change that you want to happen. You're speaking about the way that you want to help people. And the best way for you to do that is do what you need to do today. That will be better for Imani tomorrow because that allows her to serve in such a higher capacity. And so that's the same thing I'll say to you is do what you need to do today so that you can serve in a greater capacity tomorrow. It's stepping stone, it's building blocks. It's one of my favorite African proverbs. You move a stone today so that you're able to move a mountain tomorrow. And that's what it is. It's about doing the work. And so the next time that you want to point the finger at the external, you want to point it at your boss, you want to point it at your spouse, you want to point it at your sibling, you want to point it at your friend, you want to point it at the world. And then you have to ask yourself, what is it that I need to be doing? How can I show up as a better version of myself tomorrow to maybe take care of this back and forth that we are doing right now? Because it's not serving either one of us. Or let's say it's not even so much of a combativeness, it's just I'm at a really good place right now and I'm ready to go to the next level. Well, I'm here to tell you subconsciously, there's some things happening there. There's probably some limiting beliefs under the surface. There's some emotions that you haven't let go of. And so if you're ready for the next level, the sky is not the limit. It's beyond. It's beyond. We're going beyond. Like everything is limitless. I could talk about this all day, but we do not have all day. What we do have is right now. And so just allow yourself to take one action today that aligns with the person that you want to become, right? As always, my doors are always open if you are interested in coaching. I am working on some really special things that I'm very excited to share soon. But until next time, go release, go create, and go honor yourself. And of course, be limitless. All right, y'all. Bye.